Welcome to ThriveCast. I am happy to see that you're joining me today. We're just getting started. Welcome to ThriveCast. Please join us today for our conversation here on episode number 2 of ThriveCast, starting now. Last week we had episode 1 of ThriveCast. We had a wonderful guest. We had Denard Finot last week and had an excellent conversation. And today I'm thrilled that we have episode 2 of ThriveCast. My name is Dr. Dominique Gummelt. I'm the University Wellness Director at Andrews University, and I'm tuning in today from Hanover, Germany. It is great to see you all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would love to see, guys, those of you that are on the program, where you are tuning in from. Where are you tuning in from? Type it into the chat. What city, what country, where are you from, whatever you like to put. Let me see where you're from. Type something into the chat so I can properly welcome you where you are from. Hello, Cecine, nice to see you. Hi, Vivian. Please put into the chat, Berrien Springs is in the house. Fantastic. Welcome, Berrien Springs. Nice that you're here. Excellent. Those of you that are here, please invite your friends, your colleagues to join by using the little airplane button at the bottom. You can click it now, and please invite your friends, your family, your colleagues to join our program today. Welcome, Andrews University, Berrien Springs. Oh, fantastic. I saw Panama. Fantastic. We have an international crew. It is great to see you all. Martinique, welcome. It's good to see you. Again, this is ThriveCast, Andrews University's new program and new Instagram live show where we are exploring that we are all made to thrive. So we're going to have conversations about how we can all lift our lives during this time that we're all living in. And regardless of the circumstances, we believe every single one of you has been made to thrive in your life. So stay with us today. I'm super excited to welcome our guest on the show today. Today, we are going to talk about some really important topics that are relevant for each one of us. And at the end of the day, again, we want to help each other lift our lives to the next level, whether it's physically, spiritually, emotionally, socially, financially, in every possible way. All right. So I am happy to see you all here. Welcome, welcome. Please invite all your friends and your colleagues. This program today has co-curricular credit for all Andrews University students. So all of you who are students that are on the program, at the end of ThriveCast, we will share the link through which you can earn co-curricular credit for joining our conversation today on ThriveCast. So please put in the chat, again, if you just joined us, where you're joining us from. Is anybody else new from another country, from another state? Put it into the chat. I would love to see where you're tuning in from. That'd be awesome. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, welcome. So we're getting started now, and I'm about to introduce today's guest. I'm incredibly excited he's agreed to be on the program to have a conversation with me today about our topic. The guest today is none other than José Bourget, Andrews University's lead chaplain. José has an incredibly encouraging presence on our university campus and also amongst our university family. He is energized by witnessing individuals unleash God's gift for them born through their unique experiences. Chaplain José believes we are more than conquerors and that life abundantly is not circumstantial, but something available for all to realize. And that is what we are going to talk about today. And at this moment, I'm going to try to tune in Chaplain José Bourget, and while I do that, please put the emojis into the comment to welcome José with an applause or whatever you want to do, and I will pull José into our program right now. May happen with our technology here. So we're waiting for him to tune in. Yes, welcome him, and we still have a minute to invite people. There he is. He joined.
Hey!
José, hey! Can you
So
hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you beautifully, and the picture is good too.
Maybe I should get some of those fancy earbud thingies.
You know, the earbud thingies are, really quite handy for these type of programs.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm not echoey, am I?
Nope, you're not echoing at all. I can hear you really great. Jose,
Yeah.
I want to thank you that you're taking time out of your very busy day to be with us on ThriveCast. And today, as you may or may not know, but today is episode 2, only our second episode ever of season 1 of ThriveCast. And so it is a really important thing because we're totally international. We have people in our program from different countries, which is really exciting.
Wow.
Yes, and we also have people from our program that are right on the campus of Andrews University from the dorm. So we have them all over the place.
Hey, hey,
And
hey,
so
from the big 49103.
that's right, exactly. So I'm really happy that we have a wonderful crowd of beautiful people with us today. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. Jose, last week I had Denard Fano on the show. It was a wonderful conversation we had. Man, so many thoughts through my head, and the time was never enough, but we're going to try to make the best out of our time today as well.
Yay.
So, Jose, tell us a little bit about yourself. I already introduced you as the chaplain of Andrews University. Tell us a little bit about what do you do in your daily life? What do you do for your job? What is it that you do?
Man, I'm excited. I actually get excited about showing up to work because what I get to do is work with people who really just want to change the world. To be honest, they're here seeking an education, investing in an experience because they don't want to settle in their adult life. They don't want to settle in the world. So I get to sit down, have conversations. We get to plan creative engagement of different things. And the fact that I get to interact with that and be a part of their story, it just excites me. It just excites me a lot. So we'll have students come into the office at random times. We'll have students pull us aside after a major event. This Friday, we're doing an outdoor Vespers.
Cool.
And we'll get to have 30, 40 students sharing their musical gifts and praising God with it. So I'm just excited to get to be a part of that, you know?
That's brilliant. I love how you say that. I love how you really frame what you do as a daily opportunity. You know, a lot of people that talk about their work talk about it as something they have to do, and it's just, something they have to go to. But you are actually saying that your job is really a wonderful privilege and opportunity. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It is. It's a blessing. So how are you?
That's
Dominique?
fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you. I'm doing brilliantly. I told our viewers today I'm tuning in from Hanover, Germany. So I'm actually talking to you from your future. So I already have experienced your future.
I'm so excited that you have a crystal ball for me. Let me know what the rest of the day is going to be like.
I will let you know. No, I will let
Yeah.
you know. Well, Jose, I love that you shared what you do and how you see your daily life. Tell the viewers just really quickly, where are you from? Where were you born? Tell me a little bit about your international experience.
Oh man. Yeah, my international experience. Listen, I was born in the Dominican Republic, which is in the Caribbean. I was only there till I was 5 years old, but every time I go back to visit, it just feels like home. I don't know if it's the temperature, the sun, the smells, the weather. It just all the stars are aligned perfectly when I'm in the DR, which is great. The food is wonderful. But what's interesting about my background is that I'm second generation there. My parents and my grandparents were born in the Dominican Republic. But if you go back to my great grandparents on my father's side, I have a very interesting cultural mix.
Okay.
My grandmother, my dad's mom, her father, right? So this is my great grandfather, was from Lebanon, and he actually immigrated to the Dominican Republic. So this right here, this is all that Lebanese coming through. Yeah. And then she married a gentleman whose parents came from India.
Really?
So on my father's side, I have this weird mix of heritage of India and Lebanon coming together, and then comes us. On my mom's side, it's Spanish and mulatto. So America is not the only place where there's a cultural melting pot, if you will, please. Even there in the DR, there's cultural melting pot. So I've explored a little bit about my Lebanese background, and I'm this year actually committing to try to understand a little bit more about my Indian background and what does that mean. And because I don't really know, but I grew up here in the U.S. after that, and have done over 20 mission trips in 10 different
Wow.
countries. I haven't done mission trips recently, but I did a lot of those growing up in my early 20s and 30s. Probably one of the most exciting one was a cruise with a mission.
Oh, I remember those.
Do you remember that?
Those. Yes, yes, yes. Brilliant. Wonderful.
So that was exciting because that was 3 mission trips over 5 days at 3 different sites. So,
wow. Okay.
So I think part of what that says is I kind of like to do the crazy and the near impossible. And that really excites me. If you say I can't do it, like that's fuel. Like, oh, okay, let's go for it.
You know what? I love how you say that because I get excited just listening to everything that you're saying because I think I'm on that same spectrum. You know, the more exciting, the more adventurous, I'm on board. And it's really, really cool to hear about your eclectic background that is so enriching, that you have so many cultures that you can embrace alone from your family history. And I have to tell you something. I mean, you know, the second anyone talks about cultures, we always think about food, right? I don't know. It's just, it's a thing, right? And so I have to tell you that to this day, my absolute favorite food comes from a Lebanese restaurant in South Bend.
Oh, wow. In South Bend. I must get that location from you later on.
Yes, I will. I will message you that location. So
now, you know
our
what's
connection
really
is a little, sorry, our connection is a little bad. Are you seeing yourself clear on your end?
I am. Can you see me?
Yeah, it was breaking up for a minute, but now I can hear you again.
Okay. Yeah, so I was saying what's interesting is that my favorite Indian food that I've ever had is actually from an Indian restaurant in Munich, Germany.
Ah, how interesting. So you might have to give me that information. So if the next time I go to Munich, I can check that out. So that'd be great. Well, actually, while we're talking about food, Jose, I have 3 questions that I will ask every guest that is coming onto ThriveCast. 3 questions, and I will shoot them at you, those questions, and you can let me know, and you just answer them as quickly as you can, okay?
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I think we're having some connection issues here.
Am I better? Am I better?
Let's see. Let's wait. Let's let you get recalibrated. Yeah, let's see if that's better.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
All right. I did. I just got off the Andrew's Wi-Fi. That was the problem.
Yeah, that could be. That's very possible. No, we're good now. Okay, so I'm going to ask you 3 questions, Jose, that I ask everyone that's coming onto ThriveCast, and I think they're kind of fun. The first question, just answer super quick what comes to your mind. What is your favorite fruit and why?
Man, really simple. Mangoes. Mangoes are the most delicious. And the thing is that mangoes are delicious and make you feel superhuman.
Yes. Okay.
A good mango is juicy and sweet and fibrous. And I've never seen anybody really tackle a mango and not have mango juice all over their face. So it's a very intimate experience. You form intimate connections with people because you're not going to stay pretty with mango while you're eating a mango. You're just going to be real. Mango.
I love your answer. It's perfect. Very good. So the first lesson, everyone, on today's program is eat mangoes. They're good for you. They're delicious, and they have lots of power, clearly.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Second question, Jose. Describe your current mood that you're in using weather.
So I have this spot up north. It's on the lake called Tampa Sabo. And when you get up super early, just as the sun is coming up, there's a light fog on the lake. The lake is super still, and it's slightly cool, so you have to have a bit of a jacket. That's where I'm at. And what I like about that particular weather moment, whenever I experience it up there, is it's expectant. I have no idea what the day may contain, but I expect some good, and I'm moving into the day with some peace. So that's kind of I would say that's my weather. That's where my weather
That's
is
your
right
weather.
now.
I love
Yeah.
that. That was really beautiful, just beautifully described. I actually was following you up there. I was just there with you, so that was good. Good. Okay. Third question, Jose, for you is, what are you not good at?
Oh man, I'm not patient. I am not patient. It's probably why I'm not good at planting trees and plants, and I don't like to. It takes forever for them to grow.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You know what? I have a feeling. I have a feeling there's multiple people on this program that might struggle with the same thing. I think patience is one of those things that is a real challenge for quite a few people in the world.
Yeah, just taking things in stride, setting a good pace. Pace. I have to be intentional about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you. Those were great answers to those three questions. And Jose, really quickly, I'm going to ask our viewers. We have several viewers from all different countries right now. I would like to ask you today to be open to hear things that maybe you've never heard before, or hear things differently. And I want to encourage you to take a pen. I know most people don't use pens anymore, but they do exist. I encourage you to find one. Find a piece of paper and jot down some of the notes and nuggets you hear that we're talking about, because the objective of ThriveCast is to help all of us to lift each other to the next level, to thrive in our lives in whatever area. And one of the greatest ways we can learn to thrive is to learn from other people's life experiences, from other people's stories, from other people's perspectives, because it opens our mindset to something new, and we can have the chance to grow through this experience. ThriveCast is not meant to be a show for entertainment. It's meant to be a show so that you can learn to change and transform your life. So I want to challenge you, as we dive into our conversation now, that you really think about, when you hear us talk, what can apply to your life? Where are areas in your life that you could make a change, where you could potentially grow, where you could potentially transform? And the reality is, we all can at all times. And so that is what I want to invite you to do today during our program, that you can really start thinking about. Take a piece of paper, write down some notes, some questions, reflect, use it for your journal and conversations with a friend later on today, and open your mind so that we can all thrive more in the way we've been created, because we believe we all have been created to live extraordinary lives and to thrive. And so today, Jose, our topic is, we're going to talk about the fact that we were made to matter. We were created to matter. And I'm going to dive right away into the first question of our conversation. And the first question I have for you is, do you believe in fairy tales?
That's a great question. Made to Matter is about finding a story, identifying a story that kind of frames how we see the world, and recognizing that there is a great designer. So, do I believe in fairy tales? Not in the traditional sense, but I do believe in the power of stories, and that's what I think is kind of cool of fairy tales. Fairy tales trigger our imagination, right? They help us to think broadly and widely about a number of different things. Fairy tales are supposed to be inspirational. Sometimes they're sad, but the idea is that there's more to the world than we can see, and that requires an openness and engaging our imagination. So I think the idea that when we look at the world, we get to say, here's how we are going to address it. Here's how we're going to kind of parse it. Here are the characters. There's a plot.
Okay.
Those elements of a story. So, do I believe in fairy tales? In some ways, I do. But I ultimately believe in the power of story to help equip us to understand the world around us.
I love that. It's so beautifully said. I'm already taking notes, by the way. If somebody thought,
Yeah.
I already have some good nuggets that you just threw into your answer right there. But like you just said, what if you envision that we are part of a story, a big story, and each one of us is the leading character of their story? And
Yeah.
so that's, I just find that so fascinating that I think oftentimes we think that we don't matter. So we act like we are just the extras in our own story. And
Right.
so, right? And
But
so it's,
I even take it a step further, Dominique. I say that we're co-authors in our story. So not only are we the leading character, there isn't there the circumstances that confront us in our life. Many of these things we don't have choices over.
yeah,
I did not choose to live in COVID-19. This was
right?
not. I would have loved to have been born after this, or have passed away before this, right? Like,
Yeah.
but here is a character that's happening in my story right now, and I actually have power, and ability and permission. I have, by my designer, I have permission to give the COVID a character, which means
Ah,
I can control how I interact with this character. Right?
okay.
There are some elements to this character that I can't control, but what place this is going to have in this particular chapter in my life, as the author of my story, I get to choose. I get to choose.
Brilliant.
I'm not a victim to this thing. I get to choose how I interact with this, and I think that goes back to unleashing the power of story. When we understand that we are, and I say co-author because I believe in a designer, I believe in a creator,
Yes.
and I think it's something that affirms who we are as human beings, to know that we're part of a larger narrative and have greater meaning. That's the story that I've bought into. But to understand that I have co-authorship of my life with my creator, and I get to decide the impact that these other characters are going to have, to a great degree.
That is, it is incredibly powerful. I was so captured by your way of describing how we could envision and place ourselves within that story narrative that you just talked about. And I love that sentence you said, I have permission by my designer to actually assign COVID a role in this big thing, because I didn't choose for that to enter, but I have a choice of where I'm going to place that in the story.
That's correct. That's correct. So
Brilliant.
that, this is, yeah, that's the power. That's the power of story. That's the permission of story. And it's very, very, to be able to wake up every morning, as you noted, and say, I have opportunity today.
Yes.
That's part of that is part of the arc of my character. I choose that. I choose to put that on my life. I choose to make that a sort of a challenge when I wake up every morning, to understand, like, all right, I am on purpose and by design empowered to choose how to address this day.
And
And
that places such significance on you as the individual, that it showcases how much every person was created to matter.
right, yes, and so I run into Christians all the time that will hear some of this language because it seems new to them, and they'll say,
Right.
"Man, it's so humanistic. This is really placing humans on a plane that they don't belong." And I argue with them, have you actually read the Bible? Have you heard what the designer, the greatest storyteller, did in order to save me so that I can have a relationship with him? I am very worthy. I
Yes.
am very significant.
Yes.
He wrote a whole Bible talking about all the different ways that he's trying to connect with me, and he is trying to empower me. And here's what's interesting. Here's what this, when I look at the story that I've adopted, and it's based on scripture, I'm the only being, right? Humans are the only being that he gave the ability to create and to have conscious thought, and to not only create other human beings, but to have the power to be stewards of the world around us, to be curators of our relationships. He put great significance on us. He put great significance on us. So I think that made to matter is just affirming the designer's intent to elevate all of us, to recognize that we are extremely valuable and meaningful and purposeful beings.
I again love the choice of your words to illustrate this significant subject, because I really think it gets lost so much in our daily existence. I don't think that we recognize, many of us don't recognize when we wake up in the morning, like you said, do we really embrace this notion that we were uniquely, extraordinarily designed because we matter and we're created to matter? And if we put that into the forefront of our thinking in the morning when we get going, wouldn't that really shape the way we see the world differently?
Right. I would hope so. I know it has impacted my life, and listen, this is not to say that there aren't obstacles. There are days when if you were to ask me what the weather is in that chapter in my life, it was a stormy day. It was a stormy day, right?
Yeah.
The clouds were thick. The rain was heavy. The vision was difficult to see. And I think those elements exist. This is not a prosperity kind of gospel, but it is talking about our significance and our power to be able to move through the storm, right? And not just to stay there, but to be able to continue to move forward. I think one of the stories that we often hear in church, for those of you who go to church, if you haven't, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus is with his disciples. These are guys who are very close to him. They're on the lake. There's a huge storm, and they're freaking out. They have no idea what they're doing. Jesus is in the back of the boat sleeping. He's resting. And for me, most oftentimes preachers get to the end of the story, which I think is significant, where Jesus calms the storm. But there's a point there at the beginning of the story with the fact that Jesus is sleeping in the storm. And that's that things can be going crazy, but we can still experience some peace. The storm that's happening around us doesn't mean that there has to be so much happening inside of us, right? There could be crazy all around us, but we can still walk life and walk in that storm with assurance that, I'm going to be okay. And I'm going to be okay because my designer and my co-author in my story purposes for me to get through this, intends for me to overcome this. And the opportunity and the power that I have in this moment, especially in a moment when I may feel completely powerless, is that I am still writing the next pages. The pen does not stop in this moment, does not stop in the storm. I get to continue to write the next pages, and it is me with my co-author that will pen our way out of this storm. And we'll get to write in, so some of the harder times in my life, Dominique, I got to write in new characters that I hadn't been able to and hadn't considered before, but I got to write in new characters, and now those characters journey with me in a way that I didn't have before. And so the next storm comes around, I have friends, I have ways of thinking now that I wrote in and that will continue to be written in my story for whatever this next storm is. So I can have peace in the storm, knowing that I have power. In a situation where there's powerless, I have power and I have ability and I have capacity to write the next pages with my creator.
I just capturing those words are so vital, because what you just shared describes times in every human being's lives. Every human being is going to experience a storm. Some of you watching right now might be experiencing a serious storm in your life. We're living collectively in the world in a global storm right now. That is a fact. We are there, no matter what we believe about it, but we're in a storm of some sort. And I love how you described that, and it really relates already to my next question, but maybe just to elaborate on that a little bit more, since our whole philosophy here through ThriveCast is that we believe that we've been made to thrive regardless of the circumstances. And that is exactly what you're talking about as well. And so my question to you is, so you talk about this really amazing concept of framing your life as a story and the storytelling. And what I'm curious is elaborate a little bit more of how doing so could help us to be well. In other words, to live well and be well.
It is about making some first choices first. And I think the first choice, as we've noted here, is we're authors and leading characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think what happens, you know, developmentally, and I deal with college students a lot. We're in this unique situation when you hit 18, 19, 20, where you have greater independence, as you should, right? Because you've now moved out of the care of your home. But what comes with greater independence is also greater amounts of autonomy, and also a greater recognition that the choices you make, your choices are consequential.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So at this stage, and we're talking to people from all around the world, and I'm guessing a lot of 18 to 35, 40-year-olds. What will help us to mature sooner and be able to have a more fulfilled, made to thrive life is to actually claim and choose to take ownership of our story.
Love that. Okay, everybody, that's a sentence to write down. I'm writing that down. Can you repeat that last sentence one more time? That was so good.
Yeah, we have to choose to take ownership of our story. To be able to thrive, we have to make, this is one of those first choices that we have to make. And 18, 19, 20, those are those beginning moments when opportunities, I say opportunities, learning moments, truth-telling moments begin to happen, where we become aware of the fact that, I'm able, I have agency, right? Life doesn't just happen to me, and it's not just served on a platter for me, but I have responsibility to assume this role of being the author of my story. So I think that is something that's really important. And the difference, I think, between someone who's thriving in their 20s and 30s versus someone who isn't, is those people who have assumed agency and who assumed authorship of their story.
Yeah.
Right? I think
that's such a vital point, talking
step.
about developing and building a life where we can thrive. This key element that, like you said, we have to choose and take the responsibility and ownership. And I love actually the fact that you call it ownership, because ownership has a much more positive association with this concept, in my opinion, than saying, oh, you got to be responsible. But the ownership, because you own it, it's yours. You can choose to do with it, which on the one hand gives you responsibility. On the other hand, like you said, it gives you a beautiful sense of this autonomy, this ability to be creative and to open up your horizon to really live your best life that we believe we've been created to live. And so I love this idea that being made to matter is really about being the owner of your story. And so along with that, I found this interesting earlier. You talked about how, in your story, characters enter the story at different points, and some characters exit the story and some characters stay in your story. And what I'm curious about is in your life, when you think about your life, who would you say has been one of the most inspiring characters in your story, and why?
Oh man, there's so many. There's one guy by the name of Ken Denslow. He was my first boss of my first professional job. And I think the reason that he was significant is he allowed me to grow up. So, he's someone that was 20, 30 years older than I am. He was my boss. He saw my energy and my enthusiasm and my eagerness and ambition. And he gave me lots of space to be able to grow in that. But he also gave me a lot of space to have some growing pains. One of the things that he did, I wanted a particular job that looking back now was really unreasonable and probably overly ambitious on my part to want that job. And I remember there's let's call it a certification that I needed. And he was the one who could give me that certification. And I remember getting in the car with him for 3.5 hours, and I was considering actually getting another job. I was that upset. And he was like, Jose, why are you going to do another job? You know, so he could see in me that what I was doing was the right thing, was a good fit. So he's like challenging me a little bit. So I said, well, because I want this other job and you don't want to give it to me. And then he says, well, for this other job, you need to get the certification. And then I looked at him and I said, and who's responsible for giving me that certification? It's you, man. Give me the certification. What's the point of the certification? And I mean, I was lippy, Dominique. I was super lippy with him. I mean, I threw everything I could at him. But here's the thing, is he helped me. He wasn't threatened by my ambition. He wasn't disrespected by my immaturity, because that's really where I was coming from. It was just an immature place. He just saw me for the 26-year-old that I was, and he helped steered me through that. He helped me to understand what it meant to thrive through that. And I don't think, I haven't experienced a lot of bosses that are that way. And he was. So and he's a good friend. He's a strong mentor in my life, even to this day.
Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. It shows you, and I've heard similar stories. I know them from my own life. It's interesting when you look back and you look at these characters that were inspiring in your life. Oftentimes they were characters that challenged you the most in different situations, because, and this goes back to this thriving mentality, turns out the things that challenge us and force us to grow often are the best experiences that we can then come out of. And, you know, I come, as you know, my background is kinesiology and fitness and movement. You know, that's my area. And so I always like to look at these things in analysis to each other. When you think about strength training, right? So when you try to strength train and trying to strengthen your muscles, what's so interesting is, as most of you know, when you train your muscles properly, you'll actually cause damage to your muscles, because in order for your muscles to grow, they have to get damaged to repair themselves, and the repair process makes that muscle stronger. And that is what's helping you to thrive. And so when I think about inspiring people that challenge us that way, that's what it sounded like in your story just now. Yeah. It's a beautiful example of that. So what I want to do for just a second is, those of you that are with us right now, I would like you to take a second, and if you have a pen and paper, think about one person in your life that has been this inspiring character, and think about it. Who was that, and what did they do, and why were they so inspiring? And I want to challenge you today, if that person is still alive, I would like you to take a moment today and thank that person for being an inspiring person in your life, and why. Let them know, give them that feedback, because that in turn will lift your own spirit and also the spirit of another person. So I just want to ask you to do that as a little task today, okay? So great story, Jose. Okay, I got a couple more questions for you here. Okay, the next question I have for you is, what is the number one piece of advice you've received that continuously makes an impact on how you face each day?
Oh, man. I have to think about that one, Dominique.
Sure, take your time.
I mean, I think the thing that comes to mind, and I think it's a two-edged sword in a good way, and that's like, you're only human. Mm-hmm. And I think you're only human recognizes both my potential and my limitations. So to say you're only human, I oftentimes people will say you're only human when you failed something, right? To say, you're not Superman. And I think it's true. I think we need to be cognizant of our limitations. We also need to be cognizant of the shadows that we all have for whatever reason. But to also say you're only human is also, I believe, obviously based on scripture, that Jesus died for me. Jesus didn't die for junk, right? He died for me because he believes I have great value and I have great worth. So to say that I'm only human is also to speak to the other side of this coin, which is I am for somebody of great value, somebody of great worth, and of great capacities, right? So I think especially right now in this pandemic, whatever it is affecting all of us one way or another, to be able to recognize, hey, I have limitations, but I also have great capacities.
Yep.
Is one of the things that I'm journeying with every day.
Yeah, brilliant. I love this. In fact, I wrote that down. Those of you, I'm sure you guys caught that, but I love how you said how being human showcases that we have potential and limitations at the same time. I think that is so vital because unless we actually embrace and recognize our limitations, we also cannot use the potential to even do something with those limitations.
All right. That's good. That's
Right?
good. Yeah.
And so I like that. Great impulse. Wonderful. Okay.
And that, folks, is Dominique's gift. He takes what you give her, and she makes it better. Yeah.
You are so kind.
Yeah. So Dominique, let me flip the question on you. What's one piece of advice or one character that keeps coming back to you?
Oh, this is good. I love being caught off guard for sure in the middle of it, when I have my agenda. Great question, Jose. Thank you for bouncing that back at me. I have to say straight away, you're going to find this weird, but I will explain it. Okay. So here's the piece of advice.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Get balls back. And it has a context. Okay. I'm talking about. Okay, so my background is I played tennis very competitively for many, many years through college. I played at college level and pre-professional level, and I had one of the best coaches ever. And I learned a lot of lessons from that coach. And one of the lessons that he taught us every day that has carried over into every part of my life was every single day when we got to the court, before we ever hit one ball, he would look us deep into the eye and he said, listen, get balls back. In tennis, as you know, you're not supposed to hit the net. I'm not sure if people know this. You're not supposed to hit the net. If you hit the net, that's not good for you because you clearly lost that point. So in tennis, the main objective is to get every ball back exactly where you want it to go. And that while that seems like a simple concept, it seems like most people that play tennis don't get that because inevitably people hit the net. And I'm not kidding you. When we were on the court and we would hit the net, he would stop what was going on. He would walk on the court in the middle and he said, stop, everybody stop. And he'd look me in the eye and he said, what did you do? And then I would say, I hit the net. And I said, we just discussed to get balls back, not to hit the net.
Yeah.
Right? And so here's the lesson of get balls back. The lesson behind get balls back is focus, be disciplined, pay attention, never give up. Never give up. Hustle to every single ball so that you can get it back. Put in effort. Focus on training. There are so many lessons tied to get balls back, and that has really dictated a lot of what I do with my life, really. Where no matter what comes, the lesson is get balls back. And I will tell you, my last thought about this is I still have great contact to my teammates and team members. One of my team members is one of my best friends to this day. And I'm not kidding. When things and the storms that you were talking about, when the storms in your story appear, one of the first sentences when we call each other, before we say anything, we know things are bad, we just say one sentence. We say, get balls back. That's it.
Yes. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Oh, and I love it because your life authenticated it for me. You're saying those things, and I'm looking at you, Dominique, and the stories that we've shared, and I'm saying, this is true. You're not just saying, this is actually true. I see this lived out. That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to share that, actually. I'm in awe because that coach really made a big impact on my life, talking about inspiring people and learning those lessons to thrive. And that has been one of the key lessons in my life, that I was able to thrive even when I thought I couldn't, even when I thought that the storm was way too harsh, and yet it's possible. And so that's the, encouraging part of it. So thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Jose, I have one last question for you right now. Before we give people a chance to maybe ask one or two questions from the audience. Audience right now, wherever you are, think about a question you might have for Chaplain Jose. This is your chance today to ask him a straight question here on the chat. So my last question for you, that I will ask every guest on the show as well, by the way, that's my closing question. What are the top 5 things or behaviors in your life that help you to thrive?
Hmm. Can I just list all the made to thrive elements here?
You can do whatever you want. There's no rules. There's no rules.
Um, yeah, I don't know if I have a top five, maybe more like a top three. One of the things that there's three things I've said I've always would enjoy, and I think it's the three things that have really um, filled my life. I want to live and I want to work in a space where I can have vision,
Yes.
right? And vision entails so many different things. One, a blank canvas, understanding that every day I can do something new or different. It can be short term, it can be long term. In between, how do we get there? But being able to have vision, I think, is going to be really, really, really. It's a really important value for me. The second thing I would say is to function as part of a team. And I
Ah,
get to
okay.
do that here at work. I get to do that at home. I get to do that with my family. I get to do that with my social circles. And believe it or not, the team, as I've grown up and because of how I've grown up, that has really, that has taken on a whole life of its own and understanding the different facets of who I am as a person and my different needs.
Yeah.
I think the tendency for many of us is to gravitate to one definition of what team is, and that could be a person or a venue. But we are far more complex and intricate than that.
Yeah.
There isn't
Yeah.
any one thing that's going to satisfy our sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the things that has made my relationship healthier with my faith community is to not expect my faith community to do everything for me and for my whole
Ah,
life.
okay.
Right. That's not it. Like that's not fair.
Good.
So
Good. Okay.
just unpacking that a little bit. So vision, team, and then finally, I want to operate my life, my vision, and my team in a way that helps make humans better.
Hmm.
That can happen, and for me, that's really where I get a lot of meaning. Right? Is helping other humans to be better, to do better, to be well, to do to excel. I have great joy um, when I see someone else take future steps in their life
Yeah.
and realize their dreams. You said that in my intro. That's really a lot. I mean, that's the funnest part of my life is when I see people actually
Hmm.
grow and to understand that I may have had just this much to do with it.
Right.
But that is me living on point. That's me living
Yeah.
with the intentionality and being able to see that this little bit, wow, really helped this person in realizing their dreams and their passions and visions.
I
So yeah,
love it. I
vision,
love it.
team, and making humans better.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I love hearing how people in their life thrive. And it shows us too, again, going back to the idea where we were each made to matter, but uniquely and extraordinarily in the way we are. And we can pull so many different things into our story so we can thrive in different circumstances and regardless of circumstances. And so I loved your answer. I appreciate that very much. And Jose, we have just about a minute. Let's see if there's anyone in this Instagram live that has a question for Jose. Jose, I don't know if they do, but we'll see if any questions. Now is your chance. Somebody type a question into the chat and we will see if Jose can answer that question, if there is a question. So we'll give them a quick second. Sometimes it takes a little bit for the questions to pop up. So I'm going to look and see on my end here. Okay. Let's see. I do have a basic question that came on in my question thing. It says, how long has Chaplain Jose been a chaplain at Andrews University?
Man, I came here and started my first role as a chaplain in 2011. So we're going on 9 years.
It's been quite a long journey already. But Jose, you've been in the lead chaplain position
Oh,
for how
lead
long?
chaplain since January. So
Okay.
this lead chaplain role is new and different and exciting and came at the right time. Came at the
Excellent. Very
right time.
good. Well, I'll tell you what, everyone who's with us still, first of all, thank you for being here. I hope that today you were able to pull something out of our conversation, the impulses the thoughts that we shared out loud, that Chaplain José shared, and something may have caught your attention. Something may be roaming around in your mind that you might give another thought to, so that you can start thinking about where in your life you can start making a change, maybe where you want to develop a clear vision for your life together with your co-author, who is God, our creator. Maybe you want to figure out what team to join. I'm not talking about the softball team. I'm talking about the team in your life, the people that you want next to you, around you, and with you. Maybe you need to find a new team, and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you need to find a new team that is uplifting, that helps you to thrive, whatever it is, think about today, what you caught here, and use this day as an opportunity, because we only have today. We do not know what holds tomorrow, but we have the opportunity to make today a day to thrive, and to realize, which is a beautiful thing, that every single one of you is made to matter, and every one of you matters. And so here at Andrews, I can say, on behalf of our team at Andrews, each of us care about each one of you very much, and we want you to thrive in your life. So whatever it is, if you have questions, whether you have them now or whether you have them later, you can send us those questions. You can contact Chaplain José, you can contact me, you can contact Andrews University and send your questions, send your concerns. People are here to assist you in your journey to thrive. And so that's what I want to communicate today. And I already see in the chat that the link for the co-curricular credit has been posted. You cannot click on it, but you can copy and paste it. You can screenshot it so that you can manually enter it, so that you can obtain co-curricular credit. And I was actually just told also that it will be for 1 hour, the link under the profile for Andrews University on Instagram, so you can simply click on it and get your co-curricular credit. And also a wonderful message from Mr. Yeagley just now. ThriveCast will be archived on IGTV on the AU Insta account, and will be available on the YouTube channel, so that you can get co-curricular credit later. You can refer this conversation to a friend if you think that can help them live a better life and uplift them to thrive. So thank you, José. You today have the final word.
Hey, seize the day. Seize the day in terms of, going back to Made to Matter. Own your story. Own your story. You get to decide.
And with that, I thank you for being here. I loved every second. I learned a lot myself. I feel inspired, and I'm sending all the best to all of you wherever you are, in whatever country you are. And be here next Tuesday at 11:30 with our next guest next week, and we will talk about other elements of Made to Thrive. So I hope to see you again next week. Invite someone, and have a beautiful, wonderful day. And remember, you are made to matter. Bye-bye, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.